Yes.
This school of preaching.
Uh-huh.
You know, I've never been to one of them, and but what I've heard, that a woman come there and go and be a preacher just like a man can.
There might be some that would advocate that, and we're living in those times, Benny.
You paying for it, or the government's helping the school pay, then she's got the same right as a man in her, to preach. That's the way I understand it. And they're supposed to be either sponsored by the Church of Christ or go by the, that's what they supposed to be representing, the Church of Christ. But they let the woman get up there and know in all time that it's wrong. But they let her get up there, and preach to the men and them sit down and that's the way I understand.
That's unscriptural. That's unscriptural. Yes.
This
Gene.
guy that came and tried out here, and his wife, both of them went to that place that we support, Heritage, and she said she took classes, but she was not allowed to go to the ones where the men were to be preachers. She could take classes and things like that, but she couldn't go.
Gene, though, he was talking about a school of preaching.
I know this was too, but see, she went to the school, she took classes, but she couldn't go to the part where the men were taught to preach, the preaching part. She wouldn't do
That's true. There's still that, but Benny, there's some of our schools that are very liberal, and probably would not have a problem with that.
I don't see nothing wrong with her going to that school and taking classes just for her to improve her knowledge of the Bible.
Yes.
But it's what she does with it after she leaves.
Yes, but there is a principle involved where women are not to teach men or have male disciples. And I don't think all of the schools have gone that route, but some have. Abilene Christian University, some of their teaching and some of their ideology, Pepperdine, these are colleges, these are universities, quote-unquote Church of Christ. And they would hold to those kinds of views, Benny. So yes, Gene.
In that class, with that in mind, that she's going to preach, then I don't think she should be allowed to attend.
Right, and I agree with that, and I think we're all on the same page with that. But what do you think about certain things like this? Because if this is a practice, and of course we can choose not to support that college, but how do we address this? And there's also layers of influence, of power. We don't find that in the New Testament church. If a local congregation goes haywire, it doesn't destroy all the other congregations. Right? We don't have a whole lot of colleges anymore and schools of preaching in comparison to our denominational friends. But we do have them. And when we get into this matter where churches start asking questions, permission from directors, presidents, or directors of various kinds of lectureships, that's the wrong authority to go to, isn't it?
Okay, if you had a child that was ready to enter college, would you prefer it go to a state-supported school or to a church school?
I would. I'll be honest with you, Joan. I would prefer, because I don't know of any good college. Now, they might have some professors here and there. But when it comes to Bible college, and I've been to both. I've been to both Bible colleges and I've been to state universities. I expect at a state university animosity towards the Word of God. I expect people to be haywire about certain things. But when we start sending our children to these places, and they have some professor, some liberal professor works on them subtly, more damage is done. More damage is done. It's like having knee problems. Right? Meniscus tear, ACL, or something like that. You go and your leg is broken. More than likely, you're going to be running to the doctor that day. But you have a problem, right? And it starts out slowly. More damage could be done. Yes.
Remember the woman that did the moderation for your symposium? She was a convert to Islam. Remember where she went to school?
Yes, she went to David Lipscomb University. I think it was class of 93. As the classes she took, haywire Bible classes. They're a mess. It's either truthful or it's not. And this is the problem that we have. And they're killing us. I'm going to make that argument. They're not helping us. These colleges are killing us. Now, 100 years ago, they might not have been killing us. They might have been helping us. And they've done some good. And because they went haywire, it doesn't undo what was done. But today, there isn't a faithful college. Not one. They might have bits and pieces, or a professor here or there might be teaching the truth. But in totality, no. Yes.
If these schools of preaching is sponsored by the Church of Christ,
Yep.
do they let any person say that he's a Methodist preacher or wants to come to this school? Do they let them come?
Some do, and the argument is, not all, but some do, and the argument is to hope to convert him. Yes, some of them have done that, yes.
This Bear College or whatever college
Yes.
in Colorado came to Broad Street for a long time. They did classes 2 or 3 days a week.
Uh-huh.
And women went, Methodist preachers,
Yep.
different denominational preachers went down there and took the classes. But they came back out and went back to the church to preach.
And they're not, Bear Valley is no longer called a school of preaching. It is a Bible Institute. And it costs money. And what the idea is that you can go to a Bible Institute that used to be a school of preaching. And the regions will allow certain classes to transfer, like if you take English or something like that, to an accredited state college or university. And that's a reason why they do that, Gene. And yes, some of these places, they have allowed denominational preachers and the like, and have trained them for the hope that they would be converted. And what they do is they get a very discounted or sometimes free education, and they teach their doctrine. Who does the influencing? Now, I'm not trying to be so critical about every decision that they made. My point is, the local church, you can't go wrong. And what we need to do is, as some churches have done in the past, is bring in a family, if we can afford it, have the preacher train them. That also helps the church grow, by the way, locally. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have somebody that wanted to learn to be a preacher and they had a retirement or they had some way and they work with us and the like, and we could teach them. We'd have 2 workers, so to speak, spend more time and the like. Yes.
How do they grade those?
How do they what?
How do they grade to say that they was going to the church of preaching and say that a Methodist or Baptist got up and preached? If he didn't preach the truth, how are they going to grade him? They going to fail him, or how are they going to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. You'd have some that probably would pass them. Some, I don't know what they would do. Or fear, since they went ahead and they allowed him to come, it would seem strange to go ahead and, dismiss him, right? But yeah, some of that does occur, Benny. There's no getting around it. And yes, Gene, a lot of their schools still, those kinds of concepts of men and women, but don't expect that at Lipscomb University today. Don't expect that at Pepperdine or ACU or Harding and the like. These are all messed up institutions. At one time, more than likely taught the truth. Yes. They're killing us. Killing us. And it's tough. Small congregation here, right? It's difficult. It would be wonderful to have a preacher full-time, wouldn't it? Could dedicate his time and the like. But that's not reality today. We're holding on to what we have, right? And these people are getting larger, influencing more, and the like. I even see some congregations, they want to have the preacher having a bachelor's, a master's degree, PhD, and the like. Who ever heard of that craziness? And where do they get that kind of stuff? They get that from denominational colleges, universities, all for being accredited. having respect. Much like in Israel, having a king like the nations round about. That's right. They're killing us.
God's word does not change, and everyone's going to be accountable one of these days of their judgment. And in Isaiah and Revelations, it talks about adding unto or taking away from God's word.
Yes. Yes. And that seems to be okay today, Beverly. Why are we having such troubles with some churches? Because of this. Think on it. Memphis School of Preaching.
Just because they come out of that school don't mean they're going to be teaching the truth.
Oh, you got that right. You got that right. And on the flip side, a man could go to a denominational school or a very liberal college, and he could be sound, right? But that's usually not the case, right? Very important. Very important indeed. I think our time is coming to an end. Any other thoughts, comments, or observations? Appreciate that. It seems to be an interesting question. We'll see how others look at it. But again, when we talk about such things, we can't, when it comes to the Lord's church, everything is right here. Teaching through elders, evangelists, teachers. We're to learn one with another. These kinds of things. We're not to be like the denominations, the nations round about us. The Lord's church is unique. It's the only church that's in existence. I appreciate very much your kind attention, your questions. Again, to those of you in the viewing audience, we're not trying to be argumentative. We're not trying to stir up controversy. But there are matters in which we have to discuss and study from God's Word. Thank you very much.